Well, hey. Hi, Allison.
Hi, Daniel.
It's good to see you today.
See you too.
I read your interview chapter. I've done one as well. And I have some questions prepared for you, if you don't mind. Um, Through your story, instead of focusing on one or two motifs, you kind of talk about every motif. Is that, why? Why did you do that?
Well, the particular chapter I did was the chapter 31. And I'm trying to put a conclusion on to Steinbeck's novel since he kind of left it still in the open.
I see. And I like how instead of talking from one perspective or one person or one type of person, you kind of talk in a very omniscient voice. It's kind of like all seeing. I kind of got that oversoul kind of feel. Was that what you're trying to get across to me?
Yeah, I was trying to get the oversoul, the voice of the oversoul across, and trying, because I felt when I read in particular chapters that he was always there.
I see. And in your story, you use lots of repetitions such as change and promised land. Promised land was even capitalized. Was this intentional?
Of course, yeah, it was intentional because change is always a part of human nature. We've always changed through life, and then I wanted to show how change affected people, especially when disasters happen.
And the promised land.
Well, the Promised Land is like a recurring event in like many literature books. Here, the Promised Land is California after the farmers have been kicked off their land and they're forced to move west once again.
And you talk about migrant workers being the nutrient of the country or the heart and soul of the country. And could you elaborate on that?
Well, the nutrients of the country because obviously they provide food for everyone. The country needs food to survive. And they're also the heart and soul because even after they've been kicked off their land, they're forced to pick themselves up and move west to change their life, and they have to go through all sorts of challenges. Like the whole world's against them. I mean, they're rejected from society, and they don't, and they still manage to keep their heads up and keep moving on with life.
I see. At the last third of your chapter, you talk about the easy way versus the right way, and I kind of got a grasp of that, as in picking what's morally right versus what is easier to go on, like talking about the deterioration of the American dream or like how the loss of integrity threatens human existence. But could you explain your point of view?
Well, the easy way versus the hard way, you could kind of say it's like good versus bad, but since we're all humans here, no one can kind of pick a standard ground for good versus bad. It's just what we believe in as a group. So I think it's better saying the easy way or the right way, because this kind of gives a more broad way. And the easy way versus the right way, as in being people can choose to help each other, is like the right way, or being self-serving is the easy way, because it's easy to be lazy and help yourself, and it takes more work to try and help others.
I see. And this interpreter chapter, was there a certain part of the Joe narrative that you emphasized on, or was this more of like a summary of everything?
It was more of a summary for everyone, not including Joe's, but all migrant workers.
And was there anything in this chapter that I may have not discussed that you want to get across to our readers?
Well, I think you just about summed it up, but I believe that there's the motifs of like dignity in the American dream is that these people, going back to the heart and soul, that these migrant workers, or what we could call Okies, they've gone through the harshest part of life, and then they're like the new minority, and being the new minority, they're rejected from society. But they capture the American dream because even though the American dream is not being able to to go through life and achieve prosperity to a certain degree, they go through life and are still able to come out and go through life through all life's challenges.
I see. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.